Hello, good evening. It is day 131 of reading the Bible in a year. I said that like a question. It is day 131 of reading the Bible in a year. I will say that a bit slower. It is day 131 of reading the Bible in a year. And I am reading 2 Chronicles chapter 9. And we will learn what algum wood is. As long as it doesn't say, look in 1 Kings. Almug. Algum. Oh, it does reference it. It's a circular reference. Anyway, I will start reading 2 Chronicles chapter 9. The Queen of Sheba's praise of Solomon. Now when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon, she came to Jerusalem to test Solomon with hard questions, having a great retinue, camels that bore spices, gold in abundance, and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. So Solomon answered all her questions. There was nothing so difficult for Solomon that he could not explain it to her. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the foods on his table, the seating of his servants, the service of his waiters and their apparel, and his cupbearers and their apparel, and his entryway and by which he went up to the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. Then she said to the king, "It is a true report which I heard in my own hand about your words and wisdom. However, I did not believe the words until I came and saw with my own eyes. It is indeed half the greatness of your wisdom was not told me. You exceed the fame of which I heard. Happy are your men, and happy are those of your servants, who stand continually before you and hear your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God, who delighted in you, sitting you on his throne, to be king of the Lord your God. Because your God has loved Israel, to establish them forever. Therefore he had made you king over them, to do justice and righteousness." And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, spices in great abundance, and precious stones. There never were any spices such as these the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Also the servants of Hiram and the servants of Solomon, who brought gold from Ophir, brought algum wood and precious stones. And the king made walkways of the algum wood for the house of the Lord and the king's house, also harps and stringed instruments for singers. And there were none such as these seen before in the land of Judah. In the first reading with 1 Kings chapter 10, we saw almug or algum wood, and it said, see 2 Chronicles chapter 9, and looking at algum wood and almug wood here, it says, see 1 Kings chapter 10. It's circular. It's not circular reasoning, it's circular definitions. Yay. Where did I get to? Now King Solomon gave to the Queen of Sheba all that she desired, whatever she asked, much more than she had brought to the king. So she turned and went on her to her own country, and she and her servants. Solomon's great wealth. The weight of gold that came to Solomon yearly was 666 talents of gold. The same number as the number of the beast in Revelation. Why? Besides what the travelling merchants and traders brought, and all the kings of Arabia and governors of the country brought gold and silver to Solomon. And King Solomon made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 600 shekels of hammered gold went into each shield. He also made 300 shields of hammered gold. 300 shekels of gold went into each shield. Oh. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and overlaid it with pure gold. The throne had 6 steps with a footstool of gold, which were fastened to the throne. There were armrests on either side of the place of seat. 2 lions stood beside the armrests. 12 lions stood there, one on each side of the 6 steps. Nothing like this had been made for any other kingdom. All King Solomon's drinking vessels were gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. None were silver, for this was accounted as nothing in the days of Solomon. For the king's ships went to Tarshish with the servants of Hiram, and once every 3 years the merchant ships came bearing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and monkeys. So King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. And all the kings of the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. Each man brought his present, articles of silver and gold, garments, armour, spices, horses, and mules at a set rate year by year. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots, and 12,000 horsemen whom he stationed in the chariot cities with the king at Jerusalem. So he reigned over all the kings from the river to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Egypt. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones. That's a lot of silver. He made cedar trees as abundant as the sycamores, which were in the lowland, and they brought horses to Solomon from Egypt, from all the lands. The death of Solomon. Now the rest of Solomon's acts, the first and the last, are they not written in the book of Nathan the prophet? Is there a book of Nathan the prophet? In the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite, and the visions of Iddo the seer concerning Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel 40 years. Then Solomon rested with his fathers, and was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his place. So let's look for the book of Nathan the prophet and see if there's an Iddo. Is there a Nathan? No. Not in the Bible that we've got today. There might have been, because there was several meetings about which books should go in the Bible. And not all of them went in. Yeah. Some of the ones that were left out have been put into something called the Apocrypha, which sounds a bit dark. Yeah. Alright, I will finish there for that reading, and I will see you in the next reading in a minute.